Howdy, everybody. It's Commander Clyde, and I am back once again after a long hiatus after some equipment upgrades. And what better way to kick off the channel revive than with some Season 5 patch notes? This is the first patch of the new season, currently playable on the PTS server. So if you do not have that, go ahead and download it. Just search Smite Public Test server, and it should take you to the download page for that. And you can get on and try these out. So let's get right into the analysis here because this may take a while. Skipping the skins. This is pointless content, really. Updated designs. That's really all you need to know. Instead of Order Chaos, it's now Mount Olympus in the Underworld. Everything's been visually redone to be more true to Greek lore. So that's all good. Okay. Increase the map size by roughly 20%. That's more width than anything. Some layout changes, blah blah blah. They don't really mean much for gameplay. Okay, this is the first thing that will actually affect gameplay. Talking about some pacing changes. And the devs say, we've made targeted adjustments to reduce early snowballing and to slow down the first few levels of Conquest. Adjustments were made to the jungle camps so that when stolen, they provide a smaller increment of advantage versus the previous season, where stealing a buff camp could end up crippling the opposing team. Splitting has been reduced to encourage players to split up and make tactical decisions around the map. This should feel quite different from the current meta where players are forced to stay together to farm optimally. Reduced experience bonus split from 50 to 20%. Minions hit by towers now retain 25% of their gold. Minions and jungle monsters now gain additional XP and gold over time. Respawn time of buff camps reduced from 180 to 120 seconds. Respawn time of middle harpy camps reduced from 120 to 90 seconds. Respawn time of black harpy camps back, adding letters, reduced from 80 seconds to 60 seconds, and conquest start time increased from 60 to 90, which I mean doesn't help if the buffs are still going to spawn at the same time they have been this season, so I don't know where that helps, but this encourages you to be a lot more active around the map on your own, especially with the respawn times being reduced. It means you gotta move quick and get to your buff camps or you're gonna lose them. And you're also gonna need to keep moving to stay efficient with your farm, which is a lot better. So if you're a complacent jungler, you will be punished heavily. Okay, NPC adjustments. I'm probably going to skip most of the dev notes on this just because it's a lot of words and it'll take a while to get through. So let's go to the numbers. All jungle monsters will now reward an additional 9 experience and 2 gold every 3 minutes. These rewards accumulate over time. Okay, so this is for the buff holder minion, XP reduced from 160 to 116, gold reduced from 60 to 48, base health reduced from 790 to 470, base physical power reduced from 32 to 24, base physical protection reduced from 16 to 8, health per minute increased from 120 to 125, power per minute increased from 0 to 2, small minions, same type of stuff. This is the abridged version, so same type of stuff here, same type of stuff here, until you get to the oracles, who were made a little bit easier to kill by reducing their health per minute. And speed buff now only provides 15% movement as opposed to the former 20%. And the purple buff now has 5% protection reduction against targets within, I think it's 70 units. I'm not positive on that. Okay, jungle objectives. So Gold Fury now spawns at 5 minutes. Base health increase from 2550 to 3000. Physical magical protections reduced from 25 to 20. Health per minute reduced from 280 to 225. Physical slash magical protections per minute increased from 0 to 1. Team XP reward per minute reduced from 10 to 5. And team gold reward per minute reduced from 8 to 6. So now the Gold Fury becomes a significant objective. Well, okay, that doesn't change that too much. It's a little bit tougher to kill as time goes on, especially with the higher health and protections per minute. Easier to kill, but less rewarding, though, and this gets rid of, early plays for the Gold Fury. Now you do have to think about where you want to go on the map a lot more because it doesn't provide as much. This actually encourages you to go and decide between the Gold Fury or the Pyromancer, which before most teams would have a quick decision of go to the Gold Fury. Now that's not so clear. Okay, so let's talk about the Pyromancer. He's replacing the Portal Demon. And the team that defeats him has their fountain buff for 90 seconds. Upon exiting the fountain, players will gain plus 40% movement speed for 15 seconds. Entering combat will immediately remove the buff. And here are his stats compared to the former Portal Demon. Health per minute reduced from 280 to 200. Physical protection per minute increased from 0 to 2. Magical protection per minute increased from 0 to 1. Team XP reward per minute increased from 0 to 5. Team gold reward per minute increased from 0 to 3. Ta-da. And the buff, I don't feel as good about this as the Portal Demon because you teleport to a spot that's kind of halfway across the map. It's a pretty good distance, and then you go from wherever you want from there. This changes your decision making a bit because you can't stop and do the speed camp or the back harpies because it would make the buff inefficient because you would still be active by the time you got to those objectives, but if you did them, you'd lose the movement buff, and then what's the point? See, and this would wear off probably before you even got halfway across the map, so it's not better. It's worse. Granted, and it doesn't like change your decision making, it makes you make less decisions actually, which is the opposite of some of these changes up here. So I don't know why they did this. Anyway, Fire Giant base health reduced from 6650 to 6000. Power decreased from 155 to 130. Physical protection reduced from 100 to 90. Health per minute increased from 160 to 175. Power per minute increased from 0 to 2. Team gold reward per minute increased from 0 to 6. And then the enhanced Fire Giant, which respawns after the 25-minute mark, grants an enhanced version of the normal Fire Giant buff. Plus 100 magical power, plus 65 physical power. Regenerate 4% of your max health and 2% of your max mana every 5 seconds. Deal plus 20% damage versus towers and phoenixes. Very significant. Once you get this Fire Giant, it is gas pedal all the way to the enemy base. And this is trying to encourage games to end faster. And you might also be saying, well, isn't 25 minutes about when most teams would actually get their first Fire Giant? That may be what you're thinking. But if remember, they're working on game pacing. Idea here is to make games to make games faster. Most people with a good team I've seen on the PTS were ending games like at or before 20 minutes. So they've pretty much cut the average game time in half. Just with that, and this is the point here, should a game happen to make it to 25 minutes, you get the enhanced fire giant. The idea is for you to end the game. Alright, and let's talk about our little friends, the minions. See, lane demons, what am I saying? Lane minions will now reward an additional 5 experience and 1 gold every 3 minutes. These rewards accumulate over time. Lane minions now deal 40% less damage to gods. So that means 40% fewer Minion 34 memes. Sorry, guys. Lane minions will now prioritize towers, phoenixes, and titans over minions, deploys, and pets. This is one peeve I've always had, is that when they're right on top of a phoenix and a minion wave spawns, they immediately go to the minion wave rather than staying on the more important objective. That is no longer the case now. They only take off aggro unless you attack an enemy god near them, and then they'll obviously start attacking you. Ranged minion experience reduced from 45 to 25. Excuse me. Base health increased from 265 to 305. Fire minions will have the same, will maintain the normal stats, or they'll maintain the same stats. Melee minion XP reduced from 60 to 45. Base health increase 365 to 420. Brute minion experience reduced from 60 to 45. Base health increase from 700 to 805. And then towers and phoenixes. Towers and phoenixes will now deal an additional 15% damage to minions. Tier 1 tower protection is reduced from 150 to 125. Power increase from 170 to 200. So this is another quality change here that's supposed to, again, it makes early game tower dives a little more difficult, but once you start to take over the lane, it's much faster to be able to actually take the tower down. This is going to speed up the laning phase a little bit, and it'll also keep you, if you're doing well, from having to spend as much time in, say, the solo lane, and then you can actually impact the rest of the game more often. Anyway, continuing, Tier 2 tower protection is reduced from 150 to 125, power increased from 200 to 230, and the Phoenix protection is reduced from 150 to 125. Kill bounty change. Assists now provide a bonus gold to players based on their level difference from the kill target rather than the killer's level. So previously, assists were given to people. Okay, let me word this better. Say you got a teammate that's 3 levels ahead of you, and they get a kill on an enemy that's 1 level ahead of them. You would get an assist based on that 1 level difference between between your teammate and the target that they killed. Now it'll be the difference between you and the target. So in our example there, that would be a 4 level difference. So you'd get golden experience, you'd get bonus gold based on that 4 level, based on those 4 levels. Season ticket stuff, whatever. New feature, first pick TP bonus. The player who is first pick in ranked will receive plus 3 TP if their team successfully wins. So it encourages you to be top elo and do better in the games. Hopefully that makes a difference. Got leaderboards adjusted the formula to better account for amount of games played and the individual player's skill. So hopefully they can figure that out finally, and you don't get matched up against someone who's only played like 3 games of Conquest, and you're not watching them watching yourself beat your head against a brick wall as your poor defenseless teammate makes terrible decisions because he doesn't know what he's doing. Soft reset needs to be a hard reset. That's all I'm going to say. So I do not care about what they say here. It's not a hard reset. It needs to be hard because there have been too many issues with people getting matched up based on where the game's formula believes your win rate should be rather than just straight matchmaking based on games played and player skill. So there's apparently been reportedly been an issue of the game intentionally matching up higher level people with lower level people to keep keep their win rates even, which is bad. Okay, starter items. Here we go. Lots of words. Blessings are a new type of item coming to Season 5 that replaces the current starter system. Blessings are designed to give definition to the different roles that exist in Conquest. These items give new players a clear direction in how they should play their chosen class. Each blessing can evolve through meeting different conditions during the game, such as killing minions in lane if you build the Hunter's Blessing. Though these passives Through these passives, the items serve as small tutorials for new players that will help them launch into Conquest. For veteran players, these items have additional complexity. Blessings are not locked to specific classes. A hunter can pick up the mage's blessing for more ability damage, or a warrior can pick up the assassin's blessing if they wish to jungle. This choice will allow players to better define how they want to play their chosen god. Conquest blessings are unique to Conquest, but we are adding 3 different blessings to the other game modes with similar goals in mind. These blessings are intentionally different from the Conquest ones to help players realize the importance of roles in Conquest. Non-Conquest blessings. Non-Conquest blessings have more flexible applications. Although many starter items are being removed, their passive abilities will live on. Most of those have been relocated and combined into the blessings, and others have been transferred into more powerful versions on Tier 3 items. All the starter items are gone. Blessings are considered starter items. You can only get 1 blessing per match. If you sell it, you will not be able to buy another. There are 8 unique blessings divided into 2 sets. The first set is available in Conquest only. And here's the first set. Assassin's Blessing is for junglers. Even though it says assassin, it's for junglers. Doesn't matter what role you are technically. They're just doing this to better explain to newer players what they should be doing. So for junglers, for 700 gold, you get plus 35% bonus damage on jungle monsters, 7% health restored by killing a jungle monster, and 20 flat mana restored on killing a jungle monster. And for the evolution, to get the extra stats, kill or assist jungle monsters or enemy gods. Jungle monsters are worth 1 stack and enemy gods are worth 5. At 50 stacks, this item evolves and gives you plus 10 penetration. Guardian's Blessing, 100 health, 5 physical protection, 5 magical protection, 7 HP and mana restored per lane minion assisted. Plus 3 gold per lane minion assisted. And for your role quest, assist with lane minion kills to gain stacks. Each assist is worth 1 stack. At 50 stacks, this item evolves and you gain bonus 3 gold per 5 seconds. Excuse me. Hunter's Blessing, 15 magic basic attack damage and 5 MP5. Kill or assist lane minions or enemy gods to gain stacks. Lane minions are worth 1 stack and enemy gods are worth 5 stacks. At 75 stacks, Hunter's Blessing evolves, gaining 15% attack speed and an additional 15 bonus basic attack damage. Okay, excuse me guys, had to clear my throat. And the Mage's Blessing, 30 bonus ability damage, 3 MP5 per 10% mana missing. Kill or assist lane minions or enemy gods to gain stacks. Lane minions are worth 1 stack and enemy gods are worth 5 stacks. At 75 stacks, Mage's Blessing evolves, gaining 10% cooldown reduction. Also, there's an issue with this item that has sadly broken it. Wow, a broken item in a new season patch? How could this happen? What? We should be so lucky that it didn't. Anyway, there's been an issue with it proccing multiple times on abilities that have multiple damage procs, and obviously that's bad because there's gods doing a significant amount more damage than they should be. Finally, the Warrior's Blessing. 50 health, 3 reduction of all damage taken, plus 40 of your health is restored upon dealing damage to an enemy god. That has a 10-second cooldown. So it's kind of like a built-in gladiator shield, which is kind of dangerous. Potential to abuse that. But why would you not just get Mage's Blessing? Anyway, role quest. Oh, I didn't talk about the role quest for the Mage's Blessing. Kill or assist lane minions or enemy gods to gain stacks. Lane minions are worth 1 stack and enemy gods are worth 5. Wait, I did read that. Never mind. Dealing damage to an enemy god provides 1 stack. This effect can only occur once every 10 seconds. Getting a kill or assist on an enemy god provides 5 stacks. At 15 stacks, Warrior's Blessing evolves, gaining plus 10 physical and magical protection. And onto the non-conquest blessings. Attacker's Blessing, 20 power, 20 physical power, and 25 magical power. Damage lane minions and enemy gods to gain stacks. Dealing 100 damage to lane minions provide 1 stack, and dealing 100 damage to enemy gods provides 3. At 50 stacks, Attacker's Blessing evolves, gaining 10 penetration. Defender's Blessing, plus 100 health and plus 10 physical and magical protection. Mitigate damage to gain stacks. Mitigating 50 damage provides 1 stack. At 50 stacks, Defender's Blessing evolves, gaining plus 100 health and mana. Man, my throat is getting worn out with all the talking. Specialist Blessing, plus 10 MP5, plus 10 cooldown reduction. Damage enemies or heal allies to gain stacks. There's so many typos in these notes. Each time an enemy is damaged or an ally god is healed by your abilities, gain 1 stack. Each ability can only trigger up to 3 stacks. At 50 stacks, Specialist Blessing evolves, gaining plus 10 movement speed. Mage item overhaul. Basically, they were like, we don't like mages having, we don't like all these boring staple items. We're gonna change things to make other items more desirable and Rod of Tahuti less desirable. They haven't really, we'll talk about that later. Basically, they think mages don't have good diversity in items, and I think picks too. Just based on this, they didn't say that, but that's the idea. Anyway, Rada Tahuti talking about encouraging build focus on large power spikes because of the passive. Anyway, decrease cost from 33 to 3000, increase magical power from 125 to 150. Does this make sense to you guys? I didn't think so. A new passive, gain 25% additional magical power against targets below 50 health, so that's a slight change. That makes them better against tanks. And mages were kind of having trouble with that, but how does an item get a power increase and a cost reduction? That doesn't make sense. Mages do damage based on scaling. So why have you done this if you're saying this up here? Okay, blah blah blah, Doom Orb. Either you get this early for power spike, blah 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 nonsense. Decrease cost from 250 to 1700. Again, this doesn't encourage diversity when you decrease the cost. It does the opposite. Increased MP5 from 10 to 20. New passive killing, assisting the minion, provides you with 1 stack of Doom Orb, granting you 1% movement speed and 3 power per stack. Lasts 15 seconds and stacks up to 5 times. Enemy gods provides 5 stacks. Don't you know, Raw loves this item. That movement speed. Also, this is very good for jungle based guardians as well, because you get those fast fat guys coming at you, man. You gonna be running away. Alright, magical carries like Chronos and Freya have struggled during the recent season. Talkine's Ring is being designed to highlight a core strength of magical carries, their late game. And that's all you really need to know. Increase cost from 24 to 2800. If you're encouraging them to build this more, why are you increasing the cost? Or trying to bring magical carries back, why are you increasing the cost? Added plus 20 attack speed, new passive. Your basic attacks deal bonus damage of 10 plus 5% of your magical power. This effect does not hit structures. So this is kind of similar to old Talkines, which did flat 40 damage per auto. This is a little better because you can do more than that, which may make Freya entirely broken. I don't know. That'll be weird. Okay, to that end of reviving magical carries, they've increased the power of demonic grip from 40 to 50. Here we go to weird item. I do like what they've done with the Book of the Dead here. It encourages you to build it more over, well, previously it was a choice of do I build this or Bancrofts, but there's no lifesteal on it, so that's not what you're buying it for anymore, which encourages people to actually get it, which is nice. Anyway, they decreased the cost from 2800 to 2600, remove 20% magical lifesteal, added 200 mana. New passive, if you drop below 50% HP, you gain a shield equal to 25% of your current mana. Shield lasts 6 seconds, so this effect can only occur once every 90 seconds. I don't know about you guys, but, oh well, this is MP5, not mana. But I might go for a mana heavy build just because this would make this broken, and that would be funny. Makes mages very difficult to kill if you gank them, which is a problem a lot of mages have, is getting ganked easily and just being dead. And here we go, one of the most broken items of the new season. Soul Gem is Soulstone reimagined as a tier 3 item, functioning in a similar manner to when it was a starter, but with new and more powerful effects. And what are those? Well, first of all, it's 2300 gold, 65 magical power, 150 health, 12% magical lifesteal, 10% CDR. Let's put every stat in the game on one item. No, that's not what they've done, but that CDR and the health, that's interesting to have that many things. Anyway, every time you hit an enemy with an ability or basic attack, you gain 1 stack. At 5 stacks, your next ability will deal bonus damage equal to 25% of your magical power and will heal yourself and allies within 30 units around units of you for 25% of your magical power. So if you're trying to discourage just power spike builds, why are you making an item that does things based on your magical power? Like, you get a big mage build going, this is gonna hurt, this is broken. Like, how do you die at this point if you have this and Book of the Dead? You don't. You can't die. Like, I don't know what they've done. They're gonna make mages the most broken class in the game now. They'll say since they got rid of Book of the Dead, they moved it. They put a new lifesteal item in. That's what this is. It's 2800 gold, 100 magical power, 200 mana. Again, 200 mana. 200 mana. Why am I not just like, hello, just build all the mana items and soul gem and you win, right? Your magical lifesteal from items is increased by 50%. Your magical power is increased by the 100% amount of magical lifesteal you have. So why am I not just this, and this as my core items and winning the game? It does it. It's like it's playing the game for you almost. Wow. I've never been so happy to have 3 core items that I will never not build. Thanks for completely contradicting yourselves. They don't like staple items, and yet they've made 3 staple items right here. Anyway, we're going to talk about anti-tank stuff because tanks are really dang hard to kill, and it's unfair, I guess. They're thinking tanky gods do too much damage and don't take enough back, I guess. That's where we're going. Anyway, Obsidian Shower remove the 33% magical penetration. Instead, with the new passive, your magic damage ignores 20% of the target's magical protection. If the target has over 40 magical protections, this effect scales up to ignore a larger percentage of their protection. This caps at 45% magical penetration at 175 or more magical protection. So it does more penetration the higher the higher the protections get. Whoa. And same thing here with the Titan's Bane for the physical end of the spectrum. Ethereal Staff, new passive, your abilities deal an additional 3% of the target's maximum health as true damage. If the target has over 200 health, your ability bonus damage scales up, capping at 10% max health on 2,750 HP targets. This effect can only occur once every 10 seconds and prioritize highest max HP targets. So this is a good anti-guardian item. So it'll really tone down that 3 guardian meta of having support, jungler, and solo all be guardians. So, and the 2 guardian meta. So tank meta is gonna be kind of unfashionable now that they're doing this. Kinsai on basic attack hits deal physical damage equal to 3% of the target's maximum health. If the target has over 2,000 health, your basic attack damage bonus damage scales up, capping at 5% max health on 2,750 HP targets. Boots and shoes. So this encourages you to do starter things and change what you're doing instead of going for the boots by increasing the cost. If you're starting boots, remember there were some that you could just get at level 1, or you'd have them done very quickly. That's going to be scaled back. So you're going to have to be a little smarter about your pre-game decisions. It's like, do I buy boots, or do I get pots, or do I buy some other item to start with? Talaria boots are being redone to really make them go fast. So now you have definitive options of power, defense, speed. Because, as we see, increased cost from 1400 to 1600 to better balance that idea out. Yeah. Added plus 15 MP5, increased movement speed from 18 to 25%. You go fast now. Those wings actually mean something, finally. New passive, you gain 20% additional movement speed after leaving the fountain for 7 seconds. This is Mercury's favorite item now, because he gets that much more movement speed and you get this. Which means if you get your passive up and hit somebody with this plus 20% movement speed, dang, they're gone. And they've done the same thing on the end with the magical shoes. Stacking item change. All stacking items now evolve to show final stats or gain a new effect. So it's more obvious, obviously telling you what your stacked item does. Good quality of life. It says many items have had their magical power adjusted upwards due to the change of Rod of Tahuti's passive. All the details can be read below, but like you're making Soul Gem stronger. That item is straight broken, and you guys didn't see that. You've created 3 new core items. Rod's not even a core item anymore. You don't have to build it because everything else is so insane. Increased costs on Chronos Pendant from 2750 to 2800. Increased magical power from 80 to 100. Rod increased power from 80 to 100. Decreased magical penetration from 20 to 15. Divine Rune decreased costs from 24 to 2300. Increased magical pen from 10 to 15. Spear of the Magus increased cost from 2150 to 2300. Increased magical power from 50 to 65. Spell Focus, reducing magical penetration from 22 to 15%. That's the tier 2 of Obsidian Shard, by the way. Alright. Here's some items that used to be in the Soul Reliquary. Now it is called the Spellbook tree. Soul Reliquary, still the same name. Changed this item's name and icon to Spellbook. Soul Trap changed this item's name and icon to Book of Souls. Soul Reaver increased magical power from 100 to 120. Polynomicon, which actually looks like the book is supposed to be based on now. And it's been moved to the book tree. So, Enchanted Trinket removed 100 mana, added 100 health. Pythagorean's Piece removed 200 mana, added 200 health. Talon Trinket added 100 mana. Book of the Dead, this item has been moved to the book tree. Bancross Talent added 150 mana. Oh boy, mana. Changed to the staff. The sash tree is changed to the staff tree. Uncommon staff, golden staff, and warlock staff. Decreased base health from 300 to 200. Increased magical power from 50 to 75. Increased scaling health from passive from 3 HP per stack to 4. You ain't gonna die, ever. Like, why can't I just be Jean Kui and build Warlock Staff, Soul Gem, Book of the Dead, the the Typhon's Fang, then we get our boots, and then our last item can be, I guess, a pen item. And like, how do you die ever? Based on those numbers, you could actually just get tank boots on the mage and just ooh, run around. I have all this health. You can't kill me. What do you do? Haha. I get big shield because of all this mana too, and I have lifesteal and healing. I have every stat in the game. How do you possibly kill me? It's like that idea. Physical items. Did you guys forget we had those because of all these magical items? The Crusher, new passive, your abilities deal bonus damage over time equal to 30 plus 15% of your physical power over 2 seconds. Remember what they said about the removed starter items having some of their passives continued? This is basically that idea. So they've put Bluestone's passive on steroids and stuck it on Crusher. Transcendence added 10% CDR. Just, I guess, because no one was building it and now they just want to break it. It's like, now what do you build, huh? Yeah, you have to build it. That's what they're saying. Void Shield added 100 health. Reduced physical power. Increased physical protection. Hey, you want a good bridge item? Ta-da. Go for it. Blackthorn Hammer. New passive. While over 50% mana, you gain 10% CDR. While under 50% mana, you gain plus 50 MP5. Alright. That's kind of a more desirable passive. You can use it more often. At Atlanta's bow, I guess that's what it's supposed to be. I thought there was an extra A in there actually in the spelling, and it was Atalanta's. Maybe I'm an idiot. Maybe it's Maybelline. Increased movement speed buff duration from 3 seconds to 7 seconds. Alright, they're changing Ichaival and Silver Branch to separate them as two items rather than you build this against physicals, you build this against magicals. You gotta think about it. Because Ichaival's passive now also reduces magical power by 15 per stack, which is formerly what Silver Branch Bow would do. And now Silver Branch does every successful basic attack increases your attack speed by 5% and reduces your opponent's attack speed by 5% for 3 seconds. So this is a hunter on hunter boxing item essentially now, which is cool. I like that. Deathbringer, reduced cost from 3,000 to 2,800, increased critical strike chance from 20 to 35%, but reduced the critical strike damage increase from 40 to 25%. So you crit more often, but you don't crit as hard with this now. Which may be worse, because you're critting more. And it also costs less. Cloak Tree, things are being renamed and adjusted. Make more sense. Hide of the Urchin, new picture. It looks nice. Anyway, reduce protections per stack from 3 to 2. Now evolves at max stacks, providing a new effect. And when it evolves, you gain 100 health plus 5 per level. Shield that regenerates a small portion of the shield every 3 seconds while out of combat. The full shield will regenerate after 30 seconds. So they changed the passive and stuff. They wanted to make it, less of a go-to cloak item. So yeah, I like that change. You're less encouraged to get it. Magi's Cloak renamed to Cleric's Cloak. And Magi's Blessing was renamed to Magi's Cloak. More consistent naming. It's always good. This new weird thing. Talisman of Energy, 2250 gold, 50 magical protection, 300 health. The new passive, getting a kill or assist on enemies causes you and allies within 55 units to gain stacks of energy. Energy stacks provide 1% movement speed, 1% attack speed, and 5 MP5 per stack. Lasts 6 seconds and stacks up to 10 times. So basically they've taken War Flag's passive and kind of put it on this. I would like this item better if it was protections for both types of damage. Obviously this would be lower, you know. And you made it like 35 protections for magical and physical. I would have preferred that. But, do what they want. Heart Ward increased health from 200 to 250, increased magical protection from 45 to 55. I mean, while they did buff the mage items quite significantly, this kind of helps because there's a lot of good because they've improved the magical protection options. Anyway, Gauntlet of Thebes, increased cost from 2150 to 2400, decreased health from 300 to 200, new passive for each assist on a lane minion. Just checking the time there. For each assist on a lane minion, gain 1 stacks. Stacks provide 1 physical protection and 1 magical protection. Evolves at 50 stacks. And evolved passive provides an aura of 20 magical protections for you and allied gods within 70 units. On a Hunter's Garb, slightly redesigned passive. When 3 or more enemy gods are within 55 units of you, you gain a 5% damage mitigation buff. So previous, you get a mitigation buff when you take damage. So that's changed from that to this. Sovereignty, increased health from 200 to 250, increased physical protection from 40 to 50. Spectral armor, decreased physical protection from 70 to 60. New passive, critical strikes deal 50% bonus damage instead of 100%. Reduced cost on Chalice of the Oracle. Relic changes, reduced duration of immunity on Aegis Amulet from 2 seconds to 1.5 seconds. Increased cooldown from 160 to 180. Reduced duration of immunity on the upgrade by the same. Increased cooldown from 130 to 150. So now you're a little bit less safe. Again, they've buffed things, made them stronger, but you're also going to be less safe because your relics won't protect you as often, which is always good for balance. Cursed Ankh, upgrade, remove the debuffs that increase mana cost and cooldown. Now applies a new curse. If you are healed by an ability while this effect is active, you take 20% more damage from all sources. This effect does not extend to the duration of the curse. So this is a strong a good anti-healing item. It's a good anti-soul gem item because that item is so broken. You know every mage is gonna build it. So in a team fight, that can be really effective if all their teammates are close enough for them to also take the heal from the soul gem passive. This will be very dangerous. Again, that's very situational, but it counters a very obvious exploit. Hand of the Gods is just gone because nobody was using it anymore. Shield of Thorns, if you are dealt 150 times your level damage while this effect is active. That's very specific to a team fight scenario, by the way. Shield of Thorns will end early. So it'll protect you for that amount of damage, and then it will stop. Shield of Thorns upgrade, if you're dealt 150 times your level damage while this effect is active. Shield of Thorns upgrade will end early. Let me quickly do math here to find out how much damage that actually is at level 20. It's 3,000 damage. Most of you are going to be dead by then. If you're a solo laner, you're dead. You're dead before it's gone. Only really works on Guardians because they can get above 3,000 health. God balance. Okay. Okay, so the thing they did, high DPS mages didn't have magical protection scaling. And they haven't for a long time. So now that things have been adjusted, they feel like it's a good time to actually work this in. So all the mages in this list here will have magical protection scaling of 0.9 per level. And then to the end of increasing the pace of quickening the paces of games. Let's see, Agni increased movement speed from 350 to 355. Aim's Moose and Cobb nerf, which was necessary, decreased attack speed buff on hives from 10 to 50% to 10 to 30%. Decreased movement speed from 10 to 30% to 5 to 25%. Ao Kuang. Self-heal on this ability now only triggers after Ao Kuang has executed a target and flown up into the air. So, is potential you can kill him before the ultimate actually goes off. And they eat the person. Ares increased movement speed from 360 to 365. Now, this does a lot more than you'd say it would do on the surface. It's oh, he goes faster, he can rotate quicker. But remember, his chains, when he chains somebody, also increases movement speed, so he'll move even faster when those are active than he did before. And that's very significant, especially when he's running at you with with the buff from his 2 active. Like, he's a tanky, fast-moving target, and that's freaky. Okay, Colin adjustments. Reduce base HP 5 from 9 to 7. Increase cooldown on his ultimate from 90 to 100 seconds. Fafnir's getting slight nerf. Decrease stun duration from 1.5 to 1 second in both his dwarf and dragon forms. Habwa increased movement. And Hell increased movement from 350 to 355. Kepri increased movement speed from 360 to 365. Kuzenbo increased base health per level from 95 to 100. And a low-key buff. Some of you are screaming, no, why, Hi-Rez, why have you forsaken us? No, we're all dead. Anyway, decrease cooldown on decoy from 14 to 12 seconds. Increase damage from 75 to 275 to 90 to 290. Oh, excuse me for a moment. Pardon me, guys. Weather appears to be wreaking some havoc on my throat currently. Anyway, so let's see. We ignore the most obvious problems with Loki, which are his his stealth cooldown is too low. It needs to be heightened, and it needs to be broken when it takes damage. Now, the 3 gods that have been put in the game with stealth, besides him, they all get broken by damage, except his. Why is that the case? It's inconsistent and it makes no sense, and they've never bothered to change that. This buff isn't bad, but I mean, it doesn't make Loki broken or anything, but the problem is that they continue to ignore very obvious glaring issues with certain gods, and then they do the opposite and buff them. Like, and then they do the dumb thing and buff them. I don't know. Right click, hello. I didn't do that. Nike is now knockback immune while channeling this ability. So Tyr doesn't counter her anymore, I guess. Yay. Decrease damage from 50 to 190 to 50 to 170. Raw increased movement speed. So remember those movement items we were talking about earlier? Or the Doom Orb? Well, he's even faster now. So enjoy being a orange colored race car. Raijin Percussive Storm, reduce base damage from 30 to 90 to 25 to 85 per shot. Total numbers are adjusted accordingly. Reduce damage to targets beyond the first 2. What? I don't know how they worded this. This is weird. Reduce damage to targets beyond the first form from 15 to 55 plus 13% scaling to 9 to 33 plus 8% scaling. Tycho drums increase cooldown from 90 to 100 seconds. Ratatosker increase cooldown from 12 seconds to 14 seconds. Acorn Blast increased mana cost from 60 to 80. No one was really playing him that much, so I don't know why they did that. Doesn't seem like it mattered enough to bother nerfing him. This is kind of necessary because Robin was such a great performer at the end of the season, particularly at the World Championships. So his base health was decreased from 470 to 450. Mystic Rush decreased damage mitigation buff from 20 to 40% to 10 to 30%. Scylla increased movement speed from 350 to 355. Increase base health per level from 68 to 75. Previously, Scylla was one of the most vulnerable characters in the game, and this helps a lot to make her a more desirable pick. Thoth, increase base damage from 35 to 115 to 40 to 120. And keep in mind, he's one of the gods that breaks the Mage's Blessing item because Hieroglyphic Assault procs too many times. I think it procs on the glyph, extra bonus glyph damage. So it procs Mage's Blessing twice on 3 hits. I just think early game, and he is level 3, he gets an extra 60 damage per shot. So he gets 180 extra damage for just no reason. Why have they done this? Even though if you just, whatever, I'm not reading all that. Power Cleave increase heal physical power scaling from 0 to 20%, so his healing has power scaling now. As if that heal wasn't already ridiculous enough. Chaka's competition for the highest self-heal of any warrior in the game. And then Ymir, increased movement speed from 360 to 365. And on that note, guys, that is the end of the 5.1 patch notes. Hope you guys enjoyed that fun analysis. My god. Hopefully the game isn't entirely broken. We'll see how it goes on the PTS. Might have some gameplay videos of that up soon. So let me double check that I've been recording this whole time. Okay, we're good. That would have been hilarious. Anyway, leave a like if you enjoyed. Subscribe if you want to, if you're new. And don't forget to follow me on Twitter at Commander_Clyde. And you can also check out my new blog at Commander Clyde Blogs, all one word, CommanderClydeBlogs.com. Got some fun stories on there. If you guys want to read them, check those out. And I will see all of you next time. Until then, what am I? I'm so bad at outros. Anyway, I'll see you guys in the next video. Have a good one.